G'day everybody, it's Duckville here. We're going to bring you some Heart of the Swarm action here today. It is going to be on Newkirk City. Oh wait, hang on, sorry, this is Coalhile City. One of the cities, I don't know, whatever. Let's all call the maps all the same thing every time, I don't know. Anyway, this is going to be a Zerg versus Terran, as you can see from the timeline on YouTube. I'm sure some of you have, you may have seen in my Twitter and all that kind of stuff that was going to be doing a long game. Here it is. This is going to be a very long one. I'm not even going to try and hide that from you. I know it is a long game. Starting down the, well, at the right-hand side of our map here, it is MacroGamePls. Or maybe he's yelling at him. MacroGamePls! Or something like that. I don't know. His opponent down at the 6 o'clock side as our Blue Terran player is camL. Yeah, we'll see how these guys go. It looks like, well, you know, this map is a pretty big map, and it does lead to a lot of macro games. Like, you see a lot of players do some cheesy stuff in some of the matchups on this one, like in PvT sometimes, and in TvZ you can see it quite a lot, of course, because there is a very exposed front door. It is just a ramp that leads up into your main base. You do have the advantage of having an in-base natural there, so that is relatively easy to take and to protect. So it you know, it changes the way, like how certain matchups function. Of course, it's very similar in the way to Tal'Darim, in the fact that for Zerg versus Zerg, things will be very heavy Ling and Baneling based, whereas in some of the other matchups, it can lead to a couple of other things. So just the players having a little bit of a banter about what's going on while we're waiting for things to actually kick into gear. Of course, I hope you have all been checking out the After Hours Gaming League cast. Season 3 has been a whole bunch of fun to cast. We've just finished up week 7, and my cast for this week featured Palantir versus Gree. Two big name companies there, and there were some really interesting games in some of the casts that I did this week. Of course, in some of the previous weeks there have also been some really good games, so hopefully you guys have all been checking them out. And of course, there is the playoffs are coming up very soon as well, so they're going to be factored into the casting competition, which we will be having there. If you want to know more information about that, please feel free to jump onto afterhoursgaming.tv, and you'll be able to see all the information about how the casting competition works. It's effectively a little bit like Australian Idol, or So You Think You Can Dance, or something like that, or your particular country idol, whatever it is, where you know, you have a lot of people who are in this competition trying to show their skills, and then of course the audience and the judges vote them out, blah blah blah, all that kind of similar sort of thing. And except this time it's got a StarCraft and a commentary theme, so hopefully you guys can help me out and support me with that, and I'll be sort of putting out some more information on that very soon. Of course, once the Heart of the Swarm beta goes down, then things are going to get very hard to cast, because there's not going to be much I can do. So you know, we'll have a little bit of a downtime, and then the playoffs will come about. Meanwhile, speaking of downtime, these players are finally starting to kick things into gear. We do have a reactor expand here from camL. I'm not sure if that was normally what you would expect in this sort of position here. It can be, you know, I hate to sort of really go into the game hardcore and that kind of thing, but sometimes maybe when you go into a game you think, the guy's name is MacroGamePls, maybe he wants to cheese me, thinking that he's not going to cheese, and blah blah blah, all these kind of crazy mind game things which can happen sometimes. But anyway, so he has gone for a reactor expansion there. Nice and safe way to get some Marines out. Of course, what you can also follow that up with is you know, the reacted Hellions, reacted Widow Mines, all these kinds of things. Of course, a lot of players loving to use Widow Mines these days. Very nice and powerful units. You can also build up some Hellbats later on, and all these kinds of things that can lead to various kinds of strategies. So it's a nice open way to play here for camL, not going for anything too crazy right at the start. Meanwhile, for MacroGame, he's gotten his natural base up. He's sitting at around about 34 drones right now, looking good in the drone count. He is going to try and boost that up a little bit further. These two players, by the way, are I believe Masters level players. I think that's what I saw on the little the fancy little outline thingy on the load screen. So just you can keep that in mind if you're wondering how good they are, and whether they're going to be doing little crazy strats, or whether they're actually going to show us some really good skills, and I'm sure we will see the latter. Meanwhile, for our Terran player, it looks as if he is going to switch it up, grab some at least one Widow Mine up. I'm thinking, from the looks of things, it is going to be a Widow Mine drop. We can see that the factory going to jump up there, going to switch across to the reactor, going to pop out a couple of Widow Mines, I would assume. Yep, a couple of Widow Mines. We're also going to have a medevac on the way very soon. Going to get started on that when the minerals permit, which they do right now, and that gets started. So he's, well, Cam is going to go for just a little bit of harassment right now. He's actually gone to try and take down that Overlord, which was kind of cute. Burrowed the Widow Mine to try and deflect the Overlord from getting inside, but unfortunately didn't kill it in total. While the Widow Mines do a decent amount of damage, 125 in total plus 40 splashing to the nearby units. As we can see, it doesn't kill off an Overlord because there's still a little bit of health left over. So Cam is well, opening up with an economic style of play. He's also going to follow up with a bit of a drop going along as well, throwing in 2 of the Marines as well. This is going to be an interesting little addition to this attack. So he's going to have to deal with a Spine Crawler and a Spore, well prepared there by Macro Game. He's going to make sure that everything is well prepared, if not at least just so that a drone or 2 can soak up a Widow Mine and then go in with the Queen and kill off the mines here. But as we can see, with that well prepared main base, it looks like he's not going to get too much done here. What I would like to see is him dropping out 1 mine, maybe just on the side here, perhaps even down on the bottom of the cliff there. Drop out a mine, burrow it, take care of the lings, and then he can head back straight inside and maybe get some more damage done. But he's going to go straight inside the natural base here. The mines are able to burrow, both of them, in fact all 3 of them are able to burrow out there, and despite the fact that they are detected by that Spore Crawler, he was able to get a sizable amount of damage done there, but is forced to retreat for the time being, of course, with the Spore providing that detection there, and a couple of lings available to defend. That is the end of that. So for the moment, it looks like Macro Game has defended off that early attack from Cam. It looks like behind all of this, Cam is going to go into a very heavy tech play here. Looks like he's going to pick up a couple of racks, switching around some of these barracks, doing some musical dancing chairs there. Up to 44 SCVs. He does have +1 on infantry weapons on the way. The second eBay is also coming through as well. So he's going to get started on that on the +1 to armor very soon. And now with 3 and 4 gases all but done, and the armory on the way, things are really going to start sort of kicking into that sort of high-tech mode for our Terran player, where he's just going to sit there, he's going to just get everything up and running, getting his upgrades going, and we'll see where he progresses from there. For our Zerg player, meanwhile, we've got the Groove Spines getting started first, so a couple of Hydras may pop out for the initial defense. He's also got the Roach Speed on the way, along with +2 to missile weapons, already done with +1. He's not going to settle with just 1, he's going to go up to number 2 very shortly, and it looks like a Viking is just going to poke around the map, just trying to catch out some of the Overlords that may be floating about in various spots throughout. But interestingly, he went all the way around here and completely missed the Overlord here, and there's another one just there as well. So a little bit unfortunate, that Viking there, the little Viking that could. Unfortunately, he can't this time. And it looks like we will see our Terran player start to move out. He's going to get prepared. Looks like he is not going to push too far. Of course, he doesn't actually have a massive amount of forces here. I think he's just getting prepared to take a 3rd base. Of course, this base just down here has already been knocked down. The rock tower there normally has 500 health, so this first Zergling was able to take it down pretty quickly. The destructible rocks now blocking the way, and Cam is going to be a little bit unhappy about that. Now, as you can see, the failure of that Viking to clean out the Overlord there means that Macro Game is going to see these 3 medevacs on the way here. Looks like he will be able to make his way up and try and get a drop inside the main base, but I would think that Macro Game is going to be prepared for this, but no. Drop is going to happen here at this attempted 4th base. We've got a whole bunch of Marines. They do have stim and +1 on their weapons. No combat shields as of yet, but is that, in fact, not even going to get started attacking that. There we go. Alright, so he finally stims up. That was really interesting. The cancel only came just after the stim. I'm not sure if that was intended by Macro Game, but it was very cool to just force a stim, waste some of the medevac energy, and then as we can see, it looks like there is going to be a push up here. There are some Hydras. They've got their the creep to work with. They've also got, of course, the Roaches on the ground, giving them a little bit of cover, and it looks like we will see Cam retreat for the time being, not wanting to contend with those Roaches. Of course, the Roaches and the Hydras, these guys are about to have +2 on their weapons, which is certainly something to be afraid of. So good decision to pull back for the moment. It looks like Cam is now going to try and dispose of the destructible rocks here, at his third base. He's also still got to deal with the destructible debris here at his other third, or possibly fourth base, which will soon come up, I'm sure of that. But he has established a nice position here. We're even going to get a planetary fortress just across to the side. Widow mines, a couple of tanks, and even a bunker ready to fend off this position for the time being. But is he going to have enough to deal with the first attack that's going to come out from Macro Game? He's got his +2 on these Hydras here, of course. No armor upgrades just as of yet, but these guys, they're still waiting. Have they got their... No, they don't have their muscular augments. I'm very surprised he's pushing out with this attack right now. But he is going to have to be very careful. Despite the decent start on the creep spread here, Macro Game will have to be very careful with these Hydras. And is he going to actually go for it? I don't know why he hasn't invested in that just yet. It's like one of the best upgrades Zerg can have right now. But he is going to need to get that very soon if he wants to actually go for a push with these Hydras, but I think that there is no way that any sort of push at this timing is going to work too well. Of course, we've got 3 siege tanks. They've already got +1 on their weapons. He's about to have, you know, we're going to get a planetary fortress, I would assume this is going to be. We've now got a 4th tank up and running, and I don't think this is going to be the best idea if he does decide to push into this. Even adding in drones, like I do respect that. He's going to add in some drones. He's going to say, yep, we're going to build some mana hatcheries or something at the front, maybe do a little bit of a distraction there, but it is not really going to get too much done, unfortunately, for Macro Game right now. He's boosting up his work account, going up to 81 right now with another, around about another 10 on the way. And with his 4th base coming up and into operation, of course, with a lot of spines and a couple of spores maybe, he will be defending that quite nicely. However, it is interesting to expand to this position first, as opposed to this one, which he has finally now gone for. But just because this is moving towards your Terran opponent, a lot of players, you don't want to move your bases closer to where the Terran can drop on you, because this can be a very, very difficult kind of thing to deal with. So it is interesting to see that. Meanwhile, a couple of drones being picked off by the first, the double medevac drop, just proceeding through the top section of the map. He may have a little bit of a sense of what's going on right now, and it looks like with the drop coming into the main base here, not going to get too much done. camL well defended with a Viking, a singular Viking, and a couple of turrets here to help out with the defense. But the double drop does make its way across to the top side of the map. A couple of units going to come across, some roaches here to defend, but not really going to be able to defend against too much. The drop does not proceed, and it looks like with the 4th base being taken, both these players just going to start to really slow things down, get their tech continuing to pump along. We've got 4 bases now in operation for Macro Game. He's also researched the pathogen glands for the infestors, which is quite interesting considering we haven't actually seen any infestors come out on the map just yet, but he is going to be prepared for when they do come out. It looks like Cam is going to go for another drop, going to be able to put down one of his medevacs here inside this base, and another one is going to go through the top section and maybe get some work done inside the inside this 3rd base here. We'll have to see if he's actually going to get anything done. There are a lot of drones here, of course. If he can maybe drop down, get some distraction going up at the top side here, and he does do that. Stim is activated. The Marines go to town on that hatchery. They will be able to take it out, and it looks like the Marines that were dropped down here at the 3rd base also getting a lot of damage done. Meanwhile, the medevac does pull back for the moment. In fact, both of the medevacs are going to head back for the time being, and it looks like we're really going to just play a very passive sort of game. Just some short drops attempted. Of course, we've still got the medevacs of Cam out at the front there, starting to sacrifice some of his SCVs. I'm intrigued at that. I mean, he is playing a bio style. Mostly, it's a very heavy tank style. Look at all these tanks that we've got out. We've got all of these tanks out. He's continued to produce off 2 factories, which is quite a lot. And now it looks like he is going to switch into battle cruisers. This is going to be a very interesting tactic here from our blue Terran player. Cam going to pick up a trifecta of starports here. Of course, the fusion core already done, about to get started with the dancing. I hope you're dancing at home, because I am dancing here, getting ready for the fusion core dance and the groove there. Looks like the Viper's going to come out here. These guys will be able to help out a little bit with the battle cruisers. What you want to do with these Vipers, you want to charge them up, of course, with their consume, stealing some of their stealing some life to get some energy. They're like vampires or something like that. And what you can then do is utilize the abduct and pull battle cruisers out of their main sort of attack force. Like what we'll probably see from Cam is a big move out with his biomech forces that he's got rolling here, and with battle cruisers in the air on top of all of these units here, they may get a lot of damage done. But if they are pulled out, singled out against Hydras, then the Hydras might be able to just absolutely absolutely school them. But we do see a drop here at the 4th base. Meanwhile, an attack going through. It looks like the Hydras are prepared, trying to get a, yep, there's a blinding cloud on top of some of these tanks. Absolutely useless for the time being, and in fact is able to throw down a couple more, leaving the Hydras to just go to work on everything here. And wow, Cam is getting absolutely obliterated right now. He has no real response to this just as of yet, but the blinding cloud does finally finish up, and it looks like he will be forcing that back for the time being. Looks like that drop that was inside the 4th base did get a little bit of work done. A couple of kills on the Marauder and that Marine there. Of course, these guys have 2-2 upgrades. Gonna have 2-3 in a moment there once that +3 infantry weapons is done. But Cam is just sort of biding his time for the time being. He doesn't really, I don't think he wants to I don't think he wants to lose too much right now. He wants to just make sure that everything is hunky-dory with his mining and his resources coming in. Needs to make sure that all these gases are going up properly. Then he can continue out this battlecruiser production. I'm actually, to be totally honest, I'm not sure how battlecruisers go in the expansion. I haven't actually seen too many players utilize them in at TvZ, but we'll get a very good example of it right here, right now, because the first couple of battlecruisers have been produced. Where are they? There they are. All right, so they're over here. They've got +1 on their armor, of course, because the armor on vehicles also upgrades the ships now. A nice little addition for meching players. So we do see that that production of battlecruisers get started. 3 more, in fact 2 more about to pop out. A Raven also being thrown out there as well. Good to see these energy-based units starting to be thrown in here for Cam. Of course, we're not in an ultra late game position right now. We're still at the 22-minute mark, but it is good to sort of make those considerations for late game. A lot of players, you get to late game, they say, I just need to constantly build units and all these random sorts of units. You really want to look at building energy-based units. Units that can deal damage with their energy. Of course, the Ravens, you've got auto turrets, you've got the Seeker missile, which is now a magnificent little upgrade to have available. Oh, well, in fact, it's available as standard, but of course, also the battlecruisers with the Yamato cannon as well. But as a secondary push from MacroGame, now pushing through, he does have a large amount of Hydras here, but the Hunter-Seeker missile going to go down, blast apart some of those Hydras, and now the battlecruisers are forced into the battle. They are supporting those tanks there, so they do a decent job. But now his hand has been revealed, and we'll see how MacroGame is going to respond to this. It looks like we do have 28 Hydras being built. The Spire is also on the way. Another Viper also being produced along with Adrenal Glands and melee attacks. I'm interested about those upgrades because the push is now on. Cam has decided, he's revealed his hand, so what does he have to do? He has to actually get some damage done before MacroGame can get the appropriate response. But it looks like he is going to have a lot of Hydras here, just basically right on top of these tanks, but the battlecruiser is still in the air. Fantastic unit doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Air to surface damage doing 8 damage per shot. They shoot very quickly, of course, 0.2 shots. 1 shot per 0.2 seconds. There you go, I'll get it right eventually. And it looks like they are able to dispose of most of those initial Hydras that came out. So he is going to look to perhaps push in here and get some damage done. 42 Hydras. 42. That's a 4 and a 2. The meaning of life stuff here, folks, being produced right now, and they do start to pump out. And despite the very, very heavy presence of those battlecruisers there, I don't think the camL is going to have a big success in the rest of this fight. He needs to perhaps just slow down a bit, maybe head back and save some of the battlecruisers that he can, but I don't think that's going to happen. They are starting to just fall out of the sky. They're blasted apart by the Hydras with their groove spines, 2-3 on their upgrades, and that is going to be the end of that initial attack by camL. So he's going to be forced back for now. Looks like a Hydra is finally going to take the Xel'Naga Watchtower, going to get some vision through this middle section, though he does already have a few creep tumors poking about the map here. So things are, well, you know, this is the point where Cam is going to be like, alright, do I reinvest in the battlecruisers again? Do I actually have the gas to invest in that kind of thing? He certainly does have a lot of gas, but you know, he's struggling a little bit for the minerals right now. Our main base is all mined out. The natural base is all gone, as well as we can see some of the SCVs finally transferring across to one of the alternate bases. The 4th base just over here still looking very pretty, and he's also got the 3rd base just across to the side looking still relatively good, though some of the patches have now disappeared because of mules. So it looks as if he is going to just sort of hold things up for the moment. It looks like he really wants to expand across to the sides, needs to get rid of the destructible debris, not to mention a couple of patrolling Hydras inside the left side of the map here. So I think both of these players are really starting to just be very careful with some of their units. It looks like the Hydra's starting to roam across the map. Cam needs to be very careful with his Bioforce. Of course, he does have 2-3, but these Hydras also have 2-3, and these guys do a ridiculous amount of damage. 0.8 shots, and they just absolutely tear apart Bio, I tell you what. So we're still yet to see exactly what Cam is going to go for. Has to bring the orbital commands back because he is blocked off by some of these roaches. Also, where are those Hydras? No, he's moving some of these units back, but the SCVs have gotten a bit worse for wear there. They are going to have to come back to this base here. Needs to get rid of the destructible debris still, and without that gone, he's going to have a lot of trouble mining, considering he's effectively only mining off 2 bases right now. As we can see, the worker count looking good for both of the players. 63, you sort of think perhaps at the 28-minute mark, that's, you know, that's not the sexiest number to have, but I mean, he's at the 28-minute mark, so he's got all these orbital commands. So the fact that he's a little bit lower on the SCV count does not matter too much, and in fact, probably over the next few minutes, we may see him start to sacrifice some more units. But first things first, he does need to establish at least 1 base. 1, possibly 2 would be even better right here for Cam. Meanwhile, his opponent, of course, looking good down here at the 4th base. The 3rd is starting to get a little bit worse for wear as well. Not mining at the gas here. I'm a little bit perplexed about that. But inside the main, of course, we do see a Nidus network is being created here, getting ready for some possible multi-pronged attacks. He's also got all this tech ready to go. Ultras have their extra armor. We're still waiting to see any swarm hosts or anything like that. But of course, you know, late game here at the 30-minute mark, it's very unlikely we'll see any swarm hosts, just because while being efficient with their production, of course, free units, if you want to look at it that way, they don't necessarily actually do too much. I mean, you've got battle cruisers in the air, you've got all these Marines and SCVs and Marauders and tanks on the ground. There's not too much that those locusts are going to do, despite having a really nice amount of DPS that they do. So we will have a battle here. Looks like MacroGame starting to move into position, and a very ugly situation right now for camL. Blinding Cloud over just about everything here, despite the fact that many of his Bioforces are able to get some damage done. Looks like he has lost quite a lot of them, but with the production capabilities there, it looks like our Zerg player will be able to re-macro up. 18 Hydras on the way. He is going to struggle for some of his larvae though. Where is he? He's just gotten a whole bunch of larvae. I'm not. There you go. I was going to say, why isn't he producing more units? There we go. He finally is. We've got the battle cruisers, the couple of tanks that are left over, not to mention the Marauders and the Marines that are here, starting to push through into the top side base here. This 5th base is probably going to go down. What I would really like to see is him take down the rocks as well, just to make sure that this base cannot be retaken easily, but not one to sit on, stand on ceremony. MacroGame going to move across and get his own sort of damage done. A couple of Hydras over here. Some extra units now made their way down to the 3rd to try and get some more damage done, and they will see that more battle cruisers are being produced as well. But the thing is, there is so much damage going on at the top side of the map here. These battle cruisers have 2-1 on their upgrades, so they're going to survive quite a lot longer against the Hydras. But you know, if MacroGame can maybe move into a good position here, he might be able to get rid of some of the battle cruisers. That is really what he needs to get done here, is to take down the tanks, then take down the battle cruisers, because if he doesn't, then the battle cruiser count is going to start to grow. And even though I haven't actually seen a proper battle cruiser game in Heart of the Swarm TvZ just yet, I know that battle cruisers up to a certain point will just start wrecking everything. And as we can see, he's forced to bring in some links to take care of the units on the ground, and the battle cruisers will slowly start to go down. We see only 2 left over, maybe even just 1 in a moment. There we go. Falls down to the ground. Bits of debris just rolling everywhere. I love the new physics engine. I know you've all heard me say it about 1,000,000 times, but I don't care. It's awesome. And now we can see that MacroGame has forced back one of the battle cruisers. This guy is going to have to sit back to the side while the rest of the fun is had by the other units out on the map. So MacroGame is definitely getting what he wanted right here. He's got his MacroGame, just looking at all of the structures tab. I don't know, like, I think something needs to be done about this, but I'm not sure what you can do. Anyway, we've got a lot of, we got 6 racks, 2 factories, of course, the 4 starports out on the map, a couple of planetary fortresses protecting, well, I thought they were protecting the middle section, but no, not as of yet. Meanwhile, for our Zerg player, of course, we've got the Ultralisk Cavern. We've got around about, where are the hatcheries? We've got 6 hatcheries all but done, and he's going to have a lot of production, but the thing is, he doesn't have much gas. He's invested so much gas gas into his ultras that have gotten started now, not to mention the +3 on the Carapace upgrade, which has just gotten started. And it looks like he is going to lose some of these Hydras here. Perhaps not the best attack, but he was able to take down an orbital command, so nicely done by MacroGame, but losing some of these Hydras in the process. What we want to see is some of this creep spread restarted. He's even got some active tumors throughout the through the middle section of the map, so perhaps getting restarted on that would be a nice thing to have. Always good to have the creep strewn through the middle of the map, able to you know, able to get some vision there, also helping out with the movement of all of the units as well. And we do see him remax out on Lings and Hydras here as the ground Carapace is just about to complete. So we've got MacroGame sitting on a total of, well, he's only got 2 Ultras at the moment. We've still got some Roaches out randomly about the map. We've also got some of the Hydras now. 107 Lings are now also out of the map. So he's got a heap of units right now. And meanwhile, for our Terran player, we've got 10 Battlecruisers, of course. We've got 13 Marines thrown about around the map. In fact, they're inside some of these medevacs. It looks like he is going to go for an attack. The Battlecruiser left off to the side is now causing a bit of a distraction here at the attempted 4th base of MacroGame, and while he's gonna lose that, it looks like the push is gonna come in from the side. I'm not sure what the plan is here. Yeah, I was gonna say, why are you not loading up? There you go. So he's gonna jump back inside the medevacs here with some of those units. Meanwhile, some Lings and Roaches have denied these bases across to the side yet again. So MacroGame is really keeping the pressure on his opponent. The economies are starting to dwindle for both players. We can see the harvester count for MacroGame sitting at 61, still not too bad. He's still having a little bit of trouble with his gas income though. He needs to get these gases going yet again, and then he'll be able to really get some more production coming out, but he's really starting to struggle with that. And here we go. It looks like we'll have a battle of the Hydras. The Lings streaming through, just a flood of Lings coming to the front door of all of the tanks and the Marines and Marauders there. We can hardly see what is going on, but it looks like our Terran player will have the upper hand. Of course, the Battlecruisers up in the air. These guys have 2-1 on their upgrades. The Marines and Marauders on the ground still have 2-3, I believe, but as we can see, it looks like the Battlecruisers will have their day. Still no tomato cannon. I am utterly at a loss as to why he hasn't actually researched that just as of yet. He could dispose of some of these units a lot quicker, but what he does do is get rid of the hatchery here. If he can get rid of that other one, he'll put himself in a very nice position. And it looks like though some Hydras did come across for the defense of this base, they're not going to get too much done. And now this is that moment where a lot of players just go, oh no, I just lost all of my units, and then just spam out Lings. And this is this kind of thing which can be a little bit scary as a Terran player. You sort of look at that and you think, that's actually quite a lot of Lings. That's something which I've got to be a little bit worried about. But, you know, in the end, Battlecruisers will kill the Lings. So it's not much trouble here for Cam to just continue to assert his dominance out of the map right now. But it looks like the Battlecruisers now in the red. Of course, no repairs available to them at the moment. No SCVs are being brought along and no mules are being dropped. Starting to lose some of the Battlecruiser count here. We're down to 4. Down to, well, still sitting at 4, but it was about to be 3. One of them is in the deep red. There it is, 64 health left over on the hull of that Battlecruiser. And the Lings continue to prove really, really annoying here for Cam. He's lost that base across to the side. Going to take out some of the units just across on the opposite side of the map. And the mining still continues to dwindle for both of these players. Now 3 Battlecruisers left over for Cam. He's trying to repair up some of them with those mules there, but he's sitting at 43 workers. 200 minerals coming in. Where is that coming from, you ask? I'm not even sure. Just this little couple of patches that are here at the side. Is he going to be able to establish another base? I am not sure. It looks like he's gotten some more Marines and Marauders out, trading down instead of going for the Battlecruisers. He's gone for some of these little bit more efficient units against Hydras and Lings. Of course, the Marines able to tear apart Lings as they come about. This will actually give our Terran player a little bit of time to establish another base here, but will he be able to do it? So many units, but where are the heals? We actually... Where did all those medevacs go? Oh, there they are. Okay, cool. I was about to say, if those medevacs all die, then things are going to be very grim here for Cam, but no, they're all still alive, just coming across to heal up the rest of the bio units here. Maybe needing to grab a couple of SCVs to repair those medevacs, but, you know, not too much of a trouble. Looks like MacroGame going to re-establish his base across to the side as well, along with this one here. So he's going to put himself in a position where he may get his economy back into shape. Of course, what he really wants is that good gas coming in. Of course, the very expensive Zerg units costing quite a lot. Those Ultras, the Hydras as well, if he is going to continue on that path, we would like to see some Corruptors perhaps, so that he can throw down the corruption on the battlecruisers, do that extra damage against the battlecruisers, all these kinds of things, which would be very, very important for this Zerg army right now. Another thing, we mentioned it before, the creep spread. If he can perhaps, even just if he gets this tumor and just pushes it back along this way so we can link up some of the creep and have good vision on this middle section here, that would be a very nice thing for MacroGame right now. Just looking at the APM, the average for these players, 371 on just the standard APM there for MacroGame. Meanwhile, for our Terran player, he's up at 265, not too bad at all. And things, well, they're starting to sort of just go a little bit passive right now. We can see that camL researching the Corvid reactor, so he's going to have a little bit more energy on the Ravens that pop out. And I do like that he is starting to add in the Ravens. We said it before, the energy units, so the units that win you games at the end of a very long macro game. Once the minerals start drying out, once the units start becoming a little bit thinner, when you've only got a few of them out, then, you know, Ravens become very important. The Hunter Seekers, the Auto Turrets, all these kinds of things. And we are still yet to see energy units actually make too much of an appearance apart from those initial Vipers that MacroGame got out. So I'm a little bit surprised that he hasn't actually gone for some of those. Of course, as we mentioned before, the Viper's quite handy. Some neural parasites even on these battlecruisers, despite not having the Yamato cannon upgrade, he would still be good to pick up some of those battlecruisers so that he could shoot down some of the other battlecruisers, because, you know, it's better than having them shooting at all of your units. So we do see that MacroGame is starting to, he has downsized some of the units here, but there are still 7 battlecruisers up in the air here for Cam right now. And what I would like to also see, perhaps, you know, some drops inside the main, perhaps some Nidus Worm action, this kind of thing. Has he got vision? Yes, he does. He could use the Nidus Worm. Does he have anything in it? Not yet. A couple of Vipers back at home have just hatched out for MacroGame, so he is going to use some of those units, but I really, really think that he needs to perhaps add in some Infestors, maybe, for Neural Parasite, and even some more Vipers as well. Maybe if he had a little bit of a Hydra, a little bit of a higher Hydra count, there you go, say that 10 times fast, he could use some Abduct, these kinds of things, and then maybe he'd be able to pull out some of the battlecruisers and take them down very efficiently. But at the moment, he's just sort of wandering into these battles here. Going to take some Hunter Seeker missiles in the face. Does get rid of a lot of the Ravens before they go, before the Hunter Seeker missiles fire though, and that's a nice little victory, taking out some of those Ravens. And the Queens now coming along to the fight. Of course, these gals do a lot of damage. Of course, the Acid Spines, 12 damage against air units, not too bad at all. And the Hydra's coming in. The battlecruiser count now down to 4. The base has also been denied mining for the time being. And, you know, MacroGame, despite still not really having a direct counter to these battlecruisers on the ground, he's denied this mining, and he's done a good job of that. Now he's going to be able to perhaps establish another base off to the side. He's got a drone prepared. Maybe if he throws that down very soon, he'll be able to get that base going, because it looks as if this base is going to be very difficult to take. Of course, a Terran player with you know, with a few battlecruisers out, with some Ravens as well, is going to be able to harass this base. Why? From the side, you can throw in some battlecruisers, just come along here, poke along at the drones, maybe even Yamato, the hatchery there, then just jet back across, and there's not much you can do. Of course, Hydra's unable to fly at the moment. There's probably an upgrade in the campaign for that, and we may see that kind of thing happen if MacroGame if he decides to take this base here. So we'll be very careful of that. It looks like Cam's starting to get his mining back in operation again. 8 SCVs are out on the field for him right now. Despite that, of course, with all those mules that he has available due to all these extra little orbital commands about the place, he is able to still continue on with his mining. Has no gas coming, or has... Wait, his gas just went up. Oh no, it went down. Alright, so he does, he has no gas coming in. Of course, the only gas that would be in operation would be at this base here, but he is not able to get started on that just as of yet. And as we can see, there it is, a nice little ping. Thank you to the game for that. Nidus Worm coming out at the bottom side base here. This is going to pop up, and there is going to be not too much that MacroGame is, that camL is able to do until he perhaps redirects some of his units. We've got a few random Marines that are here. Of course, we do have a little bit of production as well. He quickly lifts up a command center that is here, and he really wants to keep that alive. Of course, we were talking about energy units. Energy buildings also really help out with the mules, with the scans. All these kinds of things are good to keep about, and so he does, well, hasn't really done much here. there isn't really too much done. But what he is able to do is deny this base up at the top left-hand side here. Cam doing a good job with a small little drop there, able to get some work done on that attempted, well, I suppose, I don't know, we'd call it like the third base. Can we call it the third base? We'll call this like the main now. And then like the natural is here and the third base is here. That's just how this game has gone. We're up to the 47-minute mark. Thank you all for sticking with us. It's been a really interesting macro game between these two players. We see the refinery fall down. The overlords, they're still hanging about, and you know, just looking at the unit tab, we got 6 corruptors out finally for macro game. So he's going to have these guys. Of course, they do that bonus damage to massive, so that's quite handy against those battle cruisers. He's got a couple of ultralists. We've got some infestors now starting to pop out as well. Not to mention a couple of vipers thrown in for good measure, along with the roaches, the 18 hydras, and a couple of spare zerglings as well. So he's sitting in a position where he can, perhaps, if he can just secure this base, he may be okay. But at the moment, the big problem is dealing with these battle cruisers and these marines on the ground. Interesting to see that the infantry armor has not been finished up here. Level 3 infantry armor is still not complete for camL. Not sure if he's just forgotten about that or if he's just said, alright, I need to save all of my gas. But it probably could have been done a little bit earlier. So, but either way, we'll just have a quick look at the mining. We've of course got all of these bases down to the side. The right hand side of the map have all been mined out. Even up at the top right, this base is gone. The base up towards the top side here is also, well, that's looking pretty good so far. So not too much trouble there. Of course, the real contentious bases in this game are going to be this one here and possibly this one here as well, but definitely this one, because if our Zerg player is not able to secure this due to drops, or if he is able to secure it, then this base becomes very important, because if he can take that one, then he can get that extra gas coming in, which is going to help him with his production. But the question is he going to be able to do it? We've got a lot of medevacs up in the air. We've still got all of these battle cruisers. We've got 5 battle cruisers in total and 77 marines out on the map. I do not know what is going on with that. That is insane right now. 77 marines, of course, 8 marauders, a single tank, a single hellbat, and a Viking, along with those 10 medevacs as well. In fact, there are 2 Widow Mines. We've got one here, and the other one just over here as well. So, things are gonna just get very passive for the moment. I'm not sure what the plan is from camL. He's gonna load up with these medevacs here. I think he may try and go for an attack up at the top side here. Does he know that that base has been re-established? Not just as of yet. He's unaware that that is there, but I'm sure that he knows his opponent is going to want to go to it. What I would really like to see is an auto turret on that base. Just like he can jump in, take it down, throw an auto turret down, and then he'll be able to keep an eye on that for quite a long time. Not to mention he can shoot any drones that may come along. But he does perform a quick scan just to see what's going on. Sees that there are some infestors here. We're going to have 2 broodlords. Ooh, 3 broodlords. I'm not sure about this from macro game. 4 brood... This is very interesting here. Of course, you know, the reason I'm hemming and hawing about this is that we've got infestors out. You can deal with some of these units on the ground with the blinding cloud, with the fungal growth, and then the ultras can come in and do some damage as well. The broodlords, they're not going to be too fantastic once the battle cruisers are still in the air, which they inevitably will be. We can now see that the neural parasite goes out. There it is. Takes control of the battle cruiser, able to do a sizable amount of damage, but unfortunately the neural parasite wears off on both of those battle cruisers here, and it looks like, despite having a relative lead at the start of that fight there, camL does come out of it a little bit worse for wear. He's lost all of those marines. He's still producing a few at a time, and the battle cruisers are getting a little bit low as well. We've got one of them in the 90 health mark, so that guy is definitely going to need some repairs. A couple of mules do drop down to try and deal with that, but as we can see, the battle cruisers and the infestors are the only things here left to protect this base. Perhaps you know, an abduct on this little battle cruiser here, pulling it into range of the spore crawlers would be a nice little bit of tactic there by macro game, but no, he is not able to do that just as of yet. What he does instead is take all 3 battle cruisers with a neural parasite. The hydras are here. He's able to shoot themselves, well, shoot on each other there, friendly fire if you've ever seen it, by those battle cruisers, and all 3 battle cruisers are about to go down. Wonderfully done by macro game. They're able to take advantage of that fight. There is that neural parasite I was talking about. Energy units at this stage of the game win you games, and that is something that we will be keeping in mind and echoing for the rest of this game. I tell you what, because that may have just turned things around quite a lot for our Zerg player. I was sort of thinking he's in a very, very awkward spot right now, but now with these Hydras, with these Infestors, can keep their energy up, despite the nerf that Infestors had to their fungal growth, and of course the Infested Terran nerf that went through a little bit ago. These guys are still very powerful, very useful. As we saw, Neuroparasite, helpful in dealing with those big units that the Terran can throw at you. And then not to mention fungal growth. Your fungal submarines and marauders under a blinding cloud, they're not going to do much. They're going to get stuck there, can't shoot, and then Hydras or even Ultras can just absolutely mow them down. So that's a couple of things to consider in this late game stage of the game. Of course, MacroGame has been able to establish this base across to the side. 53 workers is the count for him at the moment. Still looking good. Well, you know, good for this stage of the game, I tell you what. Looking good for this stage of the game is he. We can see that Cam has also established his extra bases inside this left-hand side of the map, so he's got all those orbitals going. We've got a couple of, I mean, we've got 11 mules thrown down on this base, and he's also got some others down here. Well, he had some others at this one as well, so he's able to get a decent economy going, as we can see, up to around about 3,000 minerals coming in. Mules are pretty good, I tell you what, and we can see that he's now gotten back up to 31 harvesters, so I don't really want to see him going too much higher than that, but you know, he'll have to keep his economy in good shape. And as we can see, Infestor's getting taken down by this drop at the base here of Macro, and he brings in the Hydras, brings in the Ultras. I'm not sure about bringing the Ultra there. I suppose it does stay alive and it will be able to regen, and the drop is cleaned up, so nicely. That Marine just got thrown off the side there by one of the Ultras cleaving him. That was the coolest thing I've seen so far in the Heart of the Swarm physics engine. But anyway, we do see that Cam has reverted back yet again to a very biocentric force. Lots of Marines, lots of Marauders, very cheap, very effective units, and this is what he's going to stick with. What I'm very, very cautious about is the fact that we don't actually have any Ravens out as far as I know. No, we've got no Ravens, so he hasn't really had the gas to produce those, but I think if he can get these bases and keep them established and get this gas coming in, as we can see, not really efficiently mining just at the moment, but if he can keep the mining on the gas going, start up some Ravens, you've of course got the Hunter Seekers, you can throw down some turrets in the back of the mineral lines here, and then he can just do very free and cheap harassment. Meanwhile, for our Zerg player, of course, as we look back at what he's got, still no real upgrades for those Swarm hosts just as of yet, but he has finished off the upgrades for every single thing else except for the flyer attacks and the carapace. So we can see that he is going to have a very strong army here with those Infestors all up at full energy. We've got all of these Hydras as well. A couple of Vipers still in the mix. These guys have stayed along for a very long time. Kudos to them. But, you know, I think what we're going to see is this game really boil down to who can be as efficient as possible with their units. Of course, Cam may want to try and get a couple more tanks out. He's got 3 at the moment. In fact, he is producing another 2. There you go. He's producing another 2 tanks. Tanks can be very, very useful at this stage of the game, of course. You know, of course, we've got those energy units, but we've also got tanks, the long-range, heavy damage-dealing units of the Terran. And as we can see, with the hatchery going down at this base here, that is not good at all for Macro Game, so he loses that efficient mining that he had here. There is also, well, there was a drop here at this base, but that was mowed down by the spore crawlers and some fungal growth as well. So we can see that it looks like Macro Game has finally decided to take this base. This is, as we said before, a very, very hotly contested base, which will be you know, a key feature of this game very soon, I am very sure, just because of the fact this is the last base that the Zerg is able to take. There is no chance in hell that he's going to be able to take this base over here at all. It's behind this wall of Terran metal and bio there. It's also just so far away from any sort of position that he would be able to hold. But we do see that he has finally taken this one, and if he can hold on to this, if he can hold on for just a little while, maybe get some more, you know, get some more of those energy units out. We do see him building 3 Infestors, so that's going to really help out with that kind of play that we're kind of looking for at this stage of the game. If he can get those units out, maybe keep them there for a little bit of a longer time, he may be able to win a fight. But this is going to be a really big problem for him. Of course, wow, Cam still 2 Still 2 on the infantry armor? Seriously, buddy? What's going on here? He still hasn't picked up that upgrade there. Of course, we mentioned before he's a little bit low on gas and some of those resources, so maybe that's why he has left it. Now, he may have seen it and just said, you know what, screw it, I can't be bothered getting that. But it looks like we'll have a battle here. A quick siege up would be good here for camL because he's going to have these units on top of him in just a second. The Viper's getting down only, well, I think that's 2 blinding clouds there. He's able to get a decent amount of damage done, and with the fungals coming across, the Ultra's now able to mow down some of the tanks. Most of the tanks have been destroyed, but the Bio Forces are still alive. Stim and a little bit of Stutter Step, and it looks like cam is going to take a bit of an advantage right here. The Hydra's doing their best, but unfortunately just not enough of them to take out the Terran forces here. With those, even with only the 2 on the armor of these units, they are still able to get a ridiculous amount of damage done. Of course, their medevacs helping out there with their healing beam, and it looks like cam is just going to cement himself right here. He may try and just hold position for the moment. I'm not sure if attacking into this is perhaps the best idea. Does he have tanks? He's got, okay, he's got 1 tank. Actually, he should be fine to attack into something like that. But what he's going to do for now is head back. He's going to make sure these Vikings are up just in case he needs them against Vipers, or in case any more Broodlords pop out. And he's just really keeping himself in a good position here. He wants to make sure that his macro is in a good spot. Of course, as we can see, multiple orbital commands now around the map here, so he's able to drop down mules whenever he sees fit. But what he's going to do first is take this base up to the side, and now he's going to try and push in. Tanks sieging up at the back, a little bit too far out of the spine crawler range there, and there is a fungal growth. That is what I was a little bit worried about here for cam. He gets fungal to death there, and in fact he may just lose all of these units here. Nope, the Hydras are not able to keep up with the medevacs, and they are able to boogie out of there very quickly, saving a couple of those Marauders. Where are the... He's building... Oh, wow, is he really building another battlecruiser? I'm not sure about this decision from camL. He still does not actually have any of these upgrades, which would be quite useful at this stage of the game, but he is getting a couple more tanks out. As we can see, the factory bringing out a couple of tanks there. These Overlords just randomly roaming about the map, just trying to see what's going on, maybe making the illusion that he is going for a drop inside the main, but I'm sure at this point cam will know that the main sort of focus of this game is going to be around this area here, this narrow corridor with the smoke protecting off to the side there. This whole section is going to be the big point of contest here in this game, and it looks like cam is going to have to drop inside this inside the back of the mineral line here. He's able to get some damage done on those drones. The worker kill tally for this game, 89 to 87. This is how this game has been so even for quite a while. The worker kill tally is just incredible, and as we can see, camL just doing his best, trying to get some more attacks inside the mineral line here, but he may lose the medevac. I don't think that's going to get... Oh, he does. Jetpack across, ignites the afterburners, and heads across to the base here, but unfortunately now for our Zerg player, that has actually been mined out, so there is going to be no drop in there. What he is able to do is come across and scare this this little base over here, but you know, for what it's worth, that's not really going to do too much. So let's take a quick look at the unit count for these players right now. We've got cam sitting on a total of 7 tanks. He's got 9 Marauders, 28 Marines, a single battlecruiser, and a few Vikings and medevacs up in the sky as well. So he's got a very strong force. This is very potent against Ultralists and these kinds of things. May have a little bit of a struggle against the Broodlords, depending on how many in there are and how many Corruptors are there as well. But overall, this is a well-rounded force from cam. I like his decision. As I said, I would like to see some more Ravens thrown in, but you know, when you're lacking on the gas, then that can be a little bit of trouble to do something like that. He's going to crank out a couple more battle cruisers instead. Meanwhile, for our Zerg player, of course, having a look at what MacroGame has, he's got 6 Ultralists. We've got 5 Infestors. We also have 19 Hydras on the ground. And after that, not too much else. I mean, he's struggling a little bit for the gas right now. He's producing a couple more Ultralists. 3 Ultras about to pop out. There they are. Ready? Bam. Alright, well there you go, there's 1, alright, so just be happy with 1. And we do see that the Ultra Force is going to start to climb here. As I said before, this could be a little bit interesting because our Terran player has a very sort of anti-Ultra Force. With all these tanks out, these guys have 2-1 on their upgrades, which is not... It's not massively awesome at this stage of the game, but it's certainly something to contend with. And we'll see him just slowly push up. It looks like he wants to try and find a range on the defenses of our Zerg player here. There's still a long way to go. Of course, the Spines and the Spores all the way up there. The Hydras and the Ultras just across to this side, just sort of in the center of the map there. So he's going to be able to slowly make his way up. I don't know how I feel about this. He needs to be a little bit more spread. Of course, we mentioned before, the Infestors, very powerful unit here. Even though the Fungal has been nerfed, it would be nice to see if they can throw down a couple of good Fungals here and maybe put Cam in a little bit of trouble. But he's starting to spread out the units. We've got, of course, the battle cruisers up in the air. We've got some of these Bioforces spread about, the tanks as well. And it looks like he's going to make a slow push towards his base here. With only a few Marines, a single Marauder as well, he may be able to get just a couple of the Spines, maybe just poking in, saying hello, taking a couple of them down would be nice, but a nice little Fungal there from Macro, but he loses the Infestors. What is going on here? But he does move them forward. The Hydras and the Ultras charging forward with an extra little backup of those Infested Terrans there, and it looks like Macro is able to just stomp through a lot of these units. Ultra goo all over the ground, and it looks like our Terran player is going to lose quite a lot of his units here. In fact, he's lost some of the battle cruisers as well to Neural Parasite, and then the Hydras on the ground. We see Cam duck down to 100 supply, Macro Game up at 134, and things have just gone absolutely insane right here. We've still got a couple of planetary fortresses here to defend. We got a lot of Lings now popping out. You know, at this stage of the game, that decision may actually be okay. If he can run the Lings into this base here, he may be able to get some eco damage done. But Cam is just, well, he's continuing to fight on. We've got more battle cruisers coming along. Marines and Marauders again starting to pop out of the large amount of racks that he has. How many racks has he got there? He's got 8 racks in total. We got still just the 2 factories and all those other buildings that he had, but he has now dropped inside the base here. If he is able to clean up some of these drones, then he may be able to swing things back in his favor. But once again, fungal growth coming about is going to clean up these medevacs as well as the Marines, and that is going to be the end of that for the moment for camL. So he's forced back yet again, just struggling to try and get as much damage as he can. But with our Zerg player mining safely on these 2 bases, he is able to keep up. And with these powerful Infestors, he is still able to keep himself inside the game. And we do see, is that where is that? Ghost Academy is now going up for our Terran player here, so we'll see him move up, perhaps grab some nukes, and we'll see how they go. Looks like there they go, they're finally getting started now, and he does get that ready to go. The tank's still continuing to slowly come out for our Terran player here. He's dropped down a bunch of mills at this base, which is the reason for that massive increase in the economy right now for Cam. So he is still sticking in the game. Well, are you serious? You can't see up there. Okay, fair enough. But there is a medevac just keeping an eye on what's going on. I think that's really hilarious that it's just sitting here, unable to repair itself, unable to do any damage, unable to really do anything apart from just scout what's going on. And we do see the nuke production start. So 3, what is it? No, it's going to be the Mobius reactor, and then probably Cloak shortly after. In fact, there is Cloak researching. Where is it? Or hang on. There you go. All right, the fourth Ghost Academy just down to the side. So, you know, we were speaking about energy forces before and how important they are. Nukes can also be quite an important unit to use at this stage of the game. We are at the 1 hour and 12 minutes into this game in Blizzard time, of course. You know, nukes, very cost efficient, 100 minerals, 100 gas, and they can wipe out just massive amounts of forces. Not only that, you can use them against static defenses like this from afar. If a nuke can drop down on all those spines, then he can remove that. He can slowly siege up and move towards that kind of base. So I am really liking some of the decision making from Cam in this game so far. It's interesting to see how just the complete focus of this game has just moved from anything happening on this side. Perhaps these spines and the spores could slowly make their way up towards the top section of the map here. That would be a nice little addition there for our Zerg player, but none of that happening just at the moment. But nukes now coming in. Where are the ghosts? Have we got the ghosts? There they are. All right, so he's got we got two nukes ready to go. Cloak just about to finish up. There we go. It's all done. And now he's going to have the option of throwing down a couple of nukes. The Ravens are also out here. We've got 3 Ravens building up their energy. A couple of Vikings also here to defend as well. The battle cruisers numbering 3. The Marines on the ground numbering 45. We've also got those 8 ghosts and the few Marauders out there as well. So it looks like ghost number 1 is on the way. Activates the cloak. Have we got a no distraction just as of yet, but it looks like he's going to get started with the nuke. Where is it? No, there it goes. And so he does launch that nuke, but unfortunately the Ghost gets capped straight in the face there by the by the spine crawlers because it walked a little bit too far into range. But EMP, the battle is on either way, and the EMPs go down on the infestors there, and a lot of those infestors lose their energy. But the units of camL are so clumped up, suffering some fungals in the face there. A few Hunter Seekers will go down and get some really good damage done, but now the Broodlords are coming in. They're slowly floating their way across. The Battlecruiser has been neuroparasited and is going to get taken out by the Hydras on the ground, but the Ghost is still here. The Ghost still able to get a little bit of damage done. Will he be able to perhaps take out one of these Broodlords? I don't think so. They're very heavy units, and it looks like another nuke does go up, and it looks like our Terran player is going to throw down a nuke right on top of these units here. Takes down the Ghost, but that is not all done yet. The red dot is still there, and here it comes. Takes down one of the spines, a second and a third are very damaged as well, and another nuke goes off. It looks like we'll have another shot right on top of these static defenses here. This is going to have, you know, we mentioned it before, this is going to give Cam a little bit of leeway to perhaps push into this base, and given that that is one of the only mining bases right now, that is going to be very handy for him. So we do see the nukes really come into effect there. He's not, is he going to invest in a couple more nukes? I don't know, he might. He might try and get another couple of nukes out, but I mean, he does have one left over. Actually, where is that one? Here, it's just down here. So he does have one nuke left over. He's going to try and utilize that. Maybe if he can drop it down on this base, get some drone kills, that would really, really help him out at this stage. Of course, we can see the Corruptors and Broodlords now starting to be added into this mix for our Zerg player. It looks like the Ghost is going to come across. There is a nuke, launches up, and where is it launching? Right on that base. So he is going to have the nuke landing here. No sight on that for Macro Game. Where is the red dot? Oh, it's just disappeared because the nuke is about to drop, but there it is. Takes down all of those drones. Not to mention all of these, well, most of the static defense that was just in the line of fire there has now been taken out, and it looks like he's going to try and get the Ghost inside. He doesn't have another nuke that he can use. Interestingly enough, Macro Game is spending a lot of larvae on drones. So he's going to try and re-establish this base, despite the fact that there is very, very little that is to be done here. The minerals are about to be mined out. We can see that those drones are making their way across from the forbidden zone of the map just over here, where no one likes to play anymore. And we can see that our Zerg player is going to start to move across. He's got a lot of Lings on the ground. We've got all of these Ultras. We've got some Corruptors. We've got the Overseers to spot the invisible units as well. Of course, those Ghosts, don't want them being pesky again with the EMPs that they got off. And now we can see that Cam, well, what's he going to do right now? He's got, he does have two nukes building right now, so he's going to try and add them back into the mix. Hunter Seeker Missile is going to get a range on the Infestors, but unfortunately gets out of the zone of that Hunter Seeker just in time. But two more Hunter Seekers fired out from the Ravens here, able to get some damage on those Broodlords. Not necessarily killing them, but still doing a little bit of work there, able to take their health down a little bit, and there they go, firing out once again. It looks like there is going to be another nuke here from camL, dropping it down on this base. Does Macro Game see what's going on? I don't think so. A defensive nuke going to be thrown down here. The Ghost is still alive. Is that actually going to get it going? No, it's not. It's taken down by a fungal. The nuke inside that base does take out the drones and the some of the defenses there, but the push is on. Macro Game up at 122 supply. Does he have what it takes? Some Hunter Seekers coming out to try and deal with those infestors. The fungal growth that got thrown down deals with a lot of those Marines, and I think that this could be the end of our Terran player. But I mean, what is, well, there you go, come on, get in there, Macro Game. He's got the forces, he can deal with this. What is inside here? Absolutely nothing. Two Marines. These guys have next to no health, but it looks like he's a little bit more worried about this one Ghost that is dealing with the hatchery up here. And as we can see, he's going to run back with the Lings. He probably could have gotten in here and done some damage on the bases, not to mention get in here and take this base down. Does he even know that that's there? He does know. Why is he? I do not know what is going on in this game. Cam down to 68 supply. He's of course got a couple of leftover mines that are here as well. Just they're still sticking out at the bottom side of the map here. And Macro Game has still got this heavy force of units. I am very perplexed as to why he is not attacking. But he's let it go, and well, yep, he's certainly got that right. It certainly is a Macro Game. We have basically got this map mined out. Let's have a quick look at all of the bases. Just nothing, yep. nothing. All of these, well, you've got a couple of minerals here, but that's not going to matter too much when all of these mules are coming about to try and deal with that. But all the minerals here, the gas, everything is all mined out. This base is just about done. Of course, this one just at the side is also almost finished up as well. And of course, with the mules just absolutely annihilating all of these minerals over here, we do see that Cam is about to be completely mined out as well. So the leftover forces are going to be a very, very interesting point here for these two players. Cam has got a leftover unit sitting at 4 Ravens, 17 Marines, a single nuke but no ghost. He's also got some Marauders, a couple of tanks that have now just popped out, a couple of extra Vikings as well, and 3 Medivacs, along with those 2 Widowmites now. So we can see that he has a very, very small force, but what he is going to do is try and make the best of it. A couple of Hunter Seekers thrown out on top of those Broodlords, doing a really good amount of damage there. So this is what we're talking about, using those energy units, and bam! Look at, are you serious? Look at that. The Infestor getting blown apart, getting just smashed across the map there by the Hunter Seeker, and now we have 6 Ravens. This is where things may get very interesting. In fact, 7 Ravens, I'm sorry. We have 7 Ravens out of the map at the moment for Cam. He's now going to switch a planetary fortress in at this command center just here, and now we can see that our Zerg player, he's basically mined out. We got a little bit of gas coming in, but you can't do much with gas when you have virtually no minerals. And very clever tactic there by Cam. Throws down a scan, puts the mules on top of the minerals there. You look at this like in a standard sort of situation, you say, oh, that doesn't really matter. You know, that's a cool little BM tactic. But if you're macro game right now, you have 50 minerals, you have over 1,000 gas. You really want those minerals, despite the fact that it may only be a couple of hundred. That could be a few Infestors, maybe another Broodlord, maybe even a couple of Corruptors as well. And, you know, these kinds of things can really matter at this stage of the game. What I do like from Macro Game is that he has these Overlords all prepared for any possible drops that might come through the side here. And as we can see, the Ravens starting to roam across the map yet again. Will they be able to get a couple of shots off? It looks like... gets one Hunter Seeker off, but it fizzes out, unfortunately, losing its target there. And we do see that he's going to try and move in here. We've got a total of 4 tanks up and running for Cam right now. Is it going to be enough? Drones have now come out. Will he be able to actually come across and actually get some damage done here? I am not sure. All I know is that, whoa, we have a couple of neural parasites thrown down on the Ravens there, but the Hunter Seekers come out just in time, blasting apart some of the Broodlords, and in fact, all but 2 of the Broodlords have been removed now, and even a couple of those Infestors as well. Very nice reactions from camL to get most of those Ravens out of the way. And there go the Hunter Seekers. Will they be able to catch their target in time? Bam! Look at that drone kill. Got basically all of the leftover drones that Macro Game has. This is going to force him back for a little bit right now while some of these units try and heal up. In fact, a Broodlord going down to an auto turret, it's not every day you see that. And this is the point where our Zerg player is going to say, what am I actually going to do here? He's got... you know, he's got to deal with all these tanks. The tanks still, again, they don't have massive upgrades. They've only got 2-1, but they're still siege tanks. They still do a ridiculous amount of damage against armored units. He's also got all of these Marines and Marauders with 3-3. These Ravens now coming across. There are 10 Ravens up in the sky here for camL right now. What is he going to do with all of these? I think he's just going to try and utilize the Hunter Seeker missiles. There's no reason to use any of the other spells right now. Of course, the point defense drone, effectively useless right now. He doesn't really need it to obliterate the Corruptor attacks, because, you know, what has he got in the sky apart from the Ravens? And, you know, to be honest, with the Ravens shooting out their Hunter Seekers as quickly as they can, if they get that done, it doesn't really matter too much if they go down, as long as these Zerg units get blasted apart. So, you know, I think that if Cam is able to utilize his Hunter Seeker missiles correctly, he may be able to win this. Macro Game, what is he going to be able to do to try and win this game? I think he needs some very, very clutch fungals on top of the Ravens here. If he can grab the whole cluster of Ravens that are here, the murder of Ravens, if you will, then he'll be able to take them out, and then he probably will be able to win the game. But the question is, can he actually get there? Because the Ravens still continually poking about the map. They're going to try and find some openings here. If he can drop down... No, I thought he was going to drop down some auto turrets. But no, he doesn't. Going to try and deal with some of those spore crawlers there, but unfortunately not enough damage done by the auto turret. and well, this game is just sort of stabilized for the time being. Whereas there is no production at the moment. Of course, both these players are pretty much done, and there go a couple of the missiles. The Queens are the targets, and some of the drones as well. One does get off, takes down, nope, doesn't actually take anything down. Of course, the Queen's staying alive for the moment, and even a transfuse on top of those units there. So it looks like our Terran player is going to have a quick poke about. He wants to get rid of some of this creep to see if he can maybe gain some room to slowly maneuver up these tanks that he has. If he can move the tanks up, then he may be able to perhaps slowly siege through and take down some of these units. But I mean, yeah, he's going to have to be so careful with everything that he does here. A clutch fungal, a couple of corruptors shooting at those ravens, you know, the Ultralisk getting into a good position against the bioforces or the tanks, and things could just totally swing the other way. Actually, what we'll do is we'll switch it to the units tab. I'm sorry, I should have done that earlier. But just again, looking at the forces, we've got these 10 Ravens out on the map, 20 Marines, we've also got 8 Marauders, we've got 4 tanks, a couple of Vikings, and a few medevacs left up in the sky as well. So our Terran player whittled down to the bare minimum right now. Of course, the Zerg player is in a similar sort of situation. 2 Queens, 2 Infestors, 2 Ultralisks, 7 Corruptors, and a few Hydras, along with 36 Lings left on the ground, and it is a very tiny force for Macro Game right now. And it looks like, well, we're just going to play passive for the moment. Of course, there is no production, there is no income. These guys are just going to sit about, and it looks like the Viking, one Viking, is going to try and get some kills on these Overlords here. They're going to be forced back inside the protection of these static defenses here. But other than that, not too much happening. And I think camL, is he going to do what I think he's going to do? Alright, what I want to see, perhaps, is a couple of command centers walled up here. And then what he can do is slowly siege up with the tanks. The Raven's able to take down the creep tumors, and then he can slowly push forward with the tanks. This may work. I'm not actually sure. I'm just sort of having a guess at how this would work, and I think that is, yeah, he kind of agrees with me. He's going to go along with that plan here. Going to move up some of the orbital commands. I think that is what he's going to do. He can also utilize these Widow Mines. Perhaps if he carefully moves them up to the sides and creates a wall with the orbital commands, he may be able to just slowly push his way up. And then you say, why does he want the wall of the orbital commands? Well, these fat guys, if he can block them out from being from maneuvering into a fight easily, if he can even keep the Infestors out from getting in range of fungaling some of the units, then perhaps that could help. And of course, you know, the added benefit of blocking out some of the Lings if they try and come about. So it is, you know, he's I don't know if he's actually going to do it. It looks like he is moving some of these across, but not sure if he is going to do it. But anyway, we've got the Ravens now still maneuvering about. There's still 10 of them up in the air. It's a shame for our Terran player that he can't utilize some other unit to throw down a nuke. But there we go. It looks as if we do have the command centers just moving across, the orbital commands dropping down. We'll probably see him unsiege and move across. Yep, there we go. All right, so we're in the same train of thought here. Me and Cam, we're on the ball right now. And what is going to be very important, as we said before, is how slow and methodical he does this, because he has to be very careful. In fact, have we got a countdown timer for the draw going on? I mean, there's been nothing produced, and I don't think anything killed for a little while. I don't know, but anyway, does that pop up in a replay? Oh, there you go. Oh, in fact, he's actually going to build an SCV because he just had enough minerals. I don't know where he found those minerals, but he did find some. And so he's going to build an SCV. That's going to reset the draw timer right now. So camL, this is what we're looking at right here. We've got the orbital commands walling off this position, tanks at the back, very cleverly done, so that they can fire on as many units as fast as possible. And I think that things are going to switch his way. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, they were just talking about it now. Evidently, you don't get to see the countdown timer in a replay. I thought you might be able to, but anyway, we do have our Zerg player still sitting here with these this very small unit count. Of course, the drones are sitting here in the fight as well, getting ready to go as soon as they can. It looks like, yep, I totally agree with MacroGame. Our Terran player, just because of the efficiency of the units here, the tanks able to slowly make their way up and siege up on those on the buildings and the structures of MacroGame, he should be able to slowly take this, especially given that he has those 10 Ravens out. The only way that he can lose this is perhaps, as we said before, a clutch fungal, maybe a couple, you know, even a neural parasite on a Raven, and then like a Hunter Seeker down onto some of the packs of the units here, may be able to win it for our Zerg player. But you know, they kind of discuss it right. They're discussing it right here. I don't think Infestor is better than Raven, or he's got whatever. He's got the thing around the wrong way, but whatever. No, I totally agree. I don't think the Infestors at this point of the game are going to be as useful as the Terran compatriot, the Raven. So we will see. Here we go. Looks like he is going to bring up a point defense drone. I'm not actually sure what that was for, but he does throw it down. Does take a couple of shots from the Spore Crawlers, but things still very stuck right now. We're yet to see any of the players move up. It looks like our Zerg player, I kind of agree with what MacroGame wants to do. I think he just wants to sort of wait out for a draw. Like, we did see that SCV got produced by camL, and you know, that cancelled the draw. But I think perhaps, oh, there is a point defense drone, gonna throw down a couple, making a little bit of a clear way for himself to try and get in. Where is the fungal? Oh, just misses, but there is a Hunter Seeker, catches the target, takes it down, and the Infestor is gone. That is one Infestor left now for our Zerg player, and it looks like the Ravens are going to try and come through, throwing down some Hunter Seekers right on top of all of those units. The point defense drones able to provide just a totally clear path for him to take on all of these units, and it looks like he may be able to push in after this. Yep, he's just said it's go time. SCVs, Marines, Marauders all coming to the front, and with the tanks at the back, a few fungal growth or two may help out here for MacroGame, but I think that is going to be it. The Hunter Seeker missiles blasting down the rest of those Zerg units, and despite suffering a few losses here, our Terran player camL is going to win on a completely mined out Korhal City map with 44 supply, some Ravens winning him the day, tanks, Marines, and Marauders the only units left over. Our Zerg player MacroGamePls has gotten his wish. He's been able to play a 1 hour 37 minute game and is now finally down to full supply. He's going to try and maybe defend with this little bit, but no can do, my friend. That is all done and dusted. Thank you all for joining me. What an insane game, so long, and such an interesting game there towards the end where we saw those energy units really start to play a big effect. And of course our victor, camL, able to pull out the win, slowly taking his time with this wall up, was able to find a clear way through the Spore Crawlers with the point defense drone, had enough energy for the Hunter Seeker missiles as well, and then was able to blast apart his opponent's remaining units. So fantastic game from these two players. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Thank you for watching. If you stuck all the way through, it was an insane game, and we'll always catch you all next time. Cheers. Is now starting to come into effect. Interestingly enough, they cannot get through this wall, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. Or I'm pretty sure they can't. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't